Um, right. So until I get a message, I'm going to carry on with what I was doing.
Being
Hey,
chaps.
mate, you're right.
Yeah, hanging on. Thank you very much. Yeah, not bad.
Good, 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 good. Try, just bear with me a sec, man. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna do a putting it all together, kind of video. So continuing on from last week, kind of thing. So I kind of want to find something that I haven't really got marked up. Uh, this might be it. To be fair, this might be well. Uh, maybe not. So just bear with me a second, mate. No, it's not pleasant. Definitely not pleasant. Hmm. This may be where. Hmm. Right. So I think this one might work. So obviously, what I'm going to be marking up is this is played out already. So obviously, we're using hindsight as a I don't know what the word I'm using for, but basically, I'm just going to use an old setup that's played out basically to explain, basically put it all together. So obviously, last week we covered liquidity, so trend lines, equal highs, lows, structure highs, lows, covered imbalance and structure. So obviously, because I covered all the basics, it's easy for me to reel them off in like in order of going. Obviously, the structure, imbalance, liquidity. So what I'll what I'll sort of cover tonight is try and cover all the bases of how we can put it all together in a setup that we would look for. So, uh, obviously this one looks like it's played out. It's yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just try and obviously mark up other things that I've not maybe not marked up in it as well. Because obviously there's a reason why I would have said like there's a reason that this area would be marked as a point of interest, which is I'm hoping it's taken liquidity. It's possibly a 15-minute structure point as well, or the order block with imbalance above it that caused a 15-minute high to be taken. So we've got a 15-minute high here. Let me draw a structure on it because I've obviously not done it a while. So we've got this one here, old marked up structure. Um, so low, high, low, high, low. So I'm just going to I'm basically going to extend it. Evening, Luke. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I just got sidetracked with time.
Yeah, it's all good, mate. It's all good. Uh, I'll be back on that. I'm gonna do it that way for now. Don't want to do that. So this is the structure as I sort of see it now. Now, I don't want to confuse everyone, but there's a case to be made that there's a structure in this. This is a high, and this is maybe a pullback. But because of what's played out afterwards, I'm just going to go to the high, to the low, obviously the overall low, because obviously what it did next confirmed this as the as a high, because it then made a new high afterwards. So this is the current structure. So why would we pick this as a point of interest? Now, I mean, I'm on the 4 hour, so nothing sort of stands out. But the important parts that we would look at are, where's my arrow? That's a structure high there. Okay, so that's one reason. So that technically that's liquidity as well. Obviously, it's bullish, so we in a bullish structure we're going to be taking previous highs. Obviously, these all being previous highs, that gets taken here, that one gets taken here, and so on. There's very possibly liquidity in there too. Not quite. Let it go around. Way down here actually. Stuck on something. Mm. Obviously, if you have any questions, guys, chuck them in as I'm going. It's not a issue. Oh, oh. Mm. Knew it. Knew it was going to run out of data. I might have to give this one up as a bad job anyway. Touch. Should be more prepared with these. Yeah, that's not right either. Mm. It's stuck on something. It looks like a good trend line from there. They might even be, no, not quite equals. Um, yeah, not quite happy with that trend line there. It doesn't mean there isn't one there. It just means I haven't spotted anything. No, we'll put it down to a bad job. And we haven't got all night to kind of find one. Well, that's one there though. So touch, touch, touch. Extend that one. Yeah, and then this. You could argue that this area here is responsible for this trend line being taken. I'm happy with that one. Turn it red. So yeah, there's a case to be made that this one takes this red trend line here. It takes this structure high, possibly this one if you'd be happy to class it. I'm not really. Um, and this possibly takes trendline liquidity to the downside as well. Um, no, we're done. So just gonna try and see if that one fits a bit better as well. I don't think it does. Fine, no. But here either though, does it? So yeah, no, don't fit. It takes obviously some lows or whatever anyway. There's maybe something in all of this as well. So I'm not. Yeah, I was going to draw one across here to see if that fitted. Don't even know if bother. It's selected. Mm, not quite. Not far off. Just as bad. Slightly the opposite way. possible liquidity here anyway. This might just be a feed thing as well, because he's fairly close. Anyway, that's the idea is go away. I'll unextend them as well. Still not interfering with all the charts. So multiple reasons why I would maybe select this as a point of interest. Now, these you could argue as well, and I would obviously always recommend this, that if you think that this is the point of interest, I always recommend to mark it to the obviously it's, well, if we're looking at buys, you should be marking it really ideally to the wick low, to the sort of imbalance area that you're looking for to be where the imbalances are inside of. um, so you ideally could mark it up here because this is the point in which the previous one's taken. See the trend lines taken a bit higher, but somewhere around in all this is basically just the point of interest, and that's all it is. It's point of interest. So basically, your reasons are obviously there's a huge imbalance above this point of interest as well. So you want the imbalance to be filled. Now we're on the 15 minute here, and obviously I normally say that I don't really believe in 15 minute imbalance. I don't think it's such a thing, but it kind of is. But it's a good indication that there's something happened from this red candle. Obviously, this red candle's normal price action, and also we get an explosion of price. So it's a good indication of something happened just lower than this red candle that caused all this. There'll be lower time frame imbalances, maybe lower. I can't remember how deep into the point of interest it comes, but just for this point of interest, so we've got multiple liquidities. Obviously, there's a structure high that's get taken. If we're expecting a continuation of bullish price action from this structure as well, so if we're talking about price as if it's sort of like at this point here, and we don't know, it's not tapped into the point of interest yet. Obviously, it's made a high at this point, and then obviously, if it was as it's coming down here, you would be starting to think, right, it's starting to come towards the point of interest. You've got your reasons to try and justify why it's a good area. It's at the very bottom. Obviously, the POI is at the very bottom of this current 15-minute leg that would have been confirmed when it took this high here, and it obviously it does actually take this significant high to the left as well. From whatever it's tapped into. So I'll just draw a level line from that. There's huge imbalance in here still to fill. So you could be thinking, yes, if it comes and taps me point of interest from that being the sort of confirmed high. Obviously it's not confirmed until we retake it. No, it is. Sorry, it's confirmed high, and the low's not confirmed. The 15-minute low for a possible new bullish leg is not confirmed until obviously the high is retaken. But again, there's reasons that we could maybe think it's coming higher, and obviously this imbalance is a huge indication. I don't know what else is favored to the left, if there is anything. Yes, there is. So well, we're maybe expecting it to come to at least high up here still. I don't know if there's a major left. I mean, we're hitting the mid 80s, early 80s. So who knows? Um, so that's that. So yeah, we're possibly still expecting a new bullish. Just from that, obviously, we're expecting a possible continuation of the 15-minute structure bullish leg because there's still things above it we think it might want to come for. um, so confirmation so far at this point is, like I say, 15-minute bullish, good POI that's taken liquidity. Um, it might create liquidity as well before just what I would hope to see as well. Obviously, once we've got it marked and we're at this point, you would kind of hope it's going to start building liquidity somewhere just above the point of interest that might be a good indication of price is going to obviously take the liquidity and then show signs of reversal. Right, so I'm going to play it. Just gonna, so, pardon me. It's not quite there. That was just a random guess to see if it was what I would like to kind of see. It doesn't actually create that one as such, but that doesn't mean there's not anything there again. Um, so we've got something. That was one I was just looking at, innit? So that's spread. So it's not. So it's not that. So I'm not seeing anything that stands out as such. Again, this would kind of just be um an added confirmation kind of thing. So it's not essential, but it's all added confirmations and would obviously make us feel more comfortable. See if that one's it's not square either. Short, not no touch, so it's not that either. Not that one either. Now, what I often do is I'd normally just take my line, extend it past these candles here, so I can run it past and move it, see if it actually hits two wick lows or anything like that. It appears to be not doing that, so just trying to see if it hits two. I don't think it does. Again, that doesn't mean there's no liquidity there. It just means I've not spotted anything. Um, but anyway, so obviously, as we covered last week, we'd say the 1 minute makes up the 15-minute structure. So on the way down to the POI, we get now. I'll drop a time frame so you can see the structure a bit better. So obviously we spoke about a few minutes ago. It made a high. There was still some imbalance above it that we figured it might want to come for. We've got the reason for the point of interest as discussed. So we actually start to make lower lows and lower highs on the smaller time frame, on a lower time frame than the 15. So the orange is the 15. So we get, we pick the high close to, we pick a low, high, it's stuck on there. Get the idea. Let's pull back. We put in a low, and then obviously we get a change to the upside. There. Yeah. So before the POI, get stuck on there. We get a bit of a pullback. We then hit the point of interest, and then obviously at this point here, pardon me, we break this high here. So obviously on this occasion we get one bearish swing, two bearish swings, three bearish swings without a high being taken. So high gets left, this doesn't take it. Gets left, this doesn't take it. Obviously, he's fucking miles away. Makes a new low, and then eventually it takes this high that puts in this low. So that's the change of character or breaker structure. So this here is the structure confirmation that So at that point, it's a structure. So we're using structure for final confirmation. Obviously, we've had all the others for the point of interest. We're as happy with the point of interest. Plenty of confirmations. Then it's tapped into the point of interest, and then we've had the final lower time frame structure confirmation. So why the lower one's important is because obviously the lower one, this one will change here. My green, my lower 1 minute will change before the 15-minute continues to make a new higher high, which we would obviously spoke about and said that we would kind of be anticipating that. So what happens beyond that, obviously, I would tell you it's time to go and find an entry, and to do that, obviously, it will be you could use liquidity again. You can use lower time frame structures, and definitely imbalance. So I'll get to that in a minute. So once we break to the upside, so I've got it marked to change your character, color, break structure, whatever you want, as long as you understand what's happening here, is this is like say your first signal that we are possibly going to continue to the upside. What generally happens after a break of structure in the direction you want, we tend to come back and fill an imbalance or tap into an order block that is what I often say is responsible for the the high, the last high. Obviously the last high on this occasion. Obviously, if it sells, it will be low, high. Sorry, no low. Yeah, if it sells, it's low that get broken. Um, so yeah, so if we're anticipating after a break of structure that we're coming back to fill something, then obviously that makes sense that that should become our entry. Yeah. So obviously, because we know obviously the market zigzag, like these are all in reality, these will be this high would be probably filling an imbalance in here that caused something here to be taken. Yeah, it's all the same stuff. So there's like a mini low in here that this would take. It comes back, mitigates something. It's all relevant to the structure and liquidity that's built up and lower time frame stuff as well. Um, so on this occasion, obviously it's done that. If we was to then look for an entry, I'd be telling you from go off that a minute. From this point here. Obviously, I recommend to use alerts so you're not constantly checking your charts. So if you had an alert at this level, price level here, and price whizzed through it here like it did, you'd be alerted as soon as it went off. Now that looks like market close, but price continued above it. I think. I didn't even check it was market close. Just seen it then. There's a little gap, but that makes kind of irrelevant anyway. So from there, obviously, like I say, it'd be time to go find an entry. Now I've got this zone marked. I'm not gonna go through the whole lot because we can all search for imbalances. There's obviously many options to choose from. On this occasion, it's pretty much just after spread hour. So pretty bad example I've picked, but I didn't know. But as you can see here, there's a huge imbalance pushed to the upside. It is after spread hour, so technically it's okay. If it would have been a few minutes earlier, I would have said no, definitely not. But there is a huge push up here. Pardon me. I'm guessing if that's spread hour, that might. Yeah, it's irrelevant what I was about to say. So, yeah, pretty much on this occasion, it's probably about the lowest imbalance in the whole leg. There'll be a few more up higher, and it's our job to try and determine which ones are the best ones that we want to take. So from there, obviously, if we'd have picked that as a right imbalance, the overall target would be generally for a new 15-minute high because that's what we was anticipating. So let's just draw this on there. 111 pips. You're right. So pretty much a 7 pip zone. My broker's pretty good. I'd probably be about 8 at best, you know. Anticipating a new 15-minute high. So somewhere above, obviously, this price leg here. Can't remember. I think it's done it. We're hitting the 90s in the risk to reward on that. It has done it, yeah. It's just about done it. So yeah, 95R from that. Yeah, just done it. I mean, if you're holding beyond that, you'd be a bit daft, especially if you had 95R. Although I did say obviously there is some imbalance in here to fill, so there's a very good chance we're coming up higher anyway. But I don't know if you'd class that as worth it or not. So there's a chance it's going there. 113. Yeah, obviously, it could go higher, but the overall target would be a bit past this 15-minute structure because the reason why I'd say you'd be on the brave side to hold beyond that. We could now obviously you'd have to inspect this high in here to see if there's anything that you would definitely think it's maybe reversed from. Obviously, I haven't got that far yet. We've covered obviously the whole setup as a whole, and you know, so one of the reasons I'd say he was brave is because this could have filled what it wanted to fill now. It's beyond the 15-minute high that we would have anticipated, and there's a good chance, even if it stays 15-minute bullish, we could get a big pullback and then a new high. And if you're at anywhere near 95R and this pulls all the way back to say fill this imbalance here, like you're going to feel sick at 19R when you had that in the bank, kind of thing. So that's kind of on you guys though if you catch them, you know. I mean, if you're going to catch like the huge 4 hour moves, then you're gonna have to hold through these pullbacks, I guess, because obviously, as we know, price never moves in a straight line. So we've got obviously this zigzags the 15-minute structure. That as a whole, if you caught that move from the bottom, if you'd have caught that 4 hour move, you've got to hold these pullbacks anyway. Um, but yeah, based off just off the 15-minute leg, I'd maybe recommend. I mean, if you're that far up, I'd recommend getting out just past there and try and get reback in if it does pull back hard, and obviously do a bit of analysis and basically say, do I think it's going to take this or hit it and then reverse? Um, we do know obviously. I think higher time frame structure wise, I think we're due to take the high anyway. I think we're due to take this. I think that is overall high there anyway. The reason why I think that is, obviously, I'm kind of past the putting it all together thing. So obviously, it's liquidity structure imbalance, you know. Um, in the order we've just spoke about. Now, obviously, I appreciate that's a hindsight markup. Um, I'll get back to it a little bit in a minute, but from a higher time frame perspective, what are we doing? We are kind of expecting to do that, I guess. Turn it purple. Um, yeah, at a higher time frame structure. I'm anticipating it to take this high anyway. But like you say, would maybe get another pullback at least in that, which would hit your ego, I guess. You'd shit your pants. I probably would as well, maybe. But it's obviously it's all there to tell us anyway. I suppose. I suppose that's what I'm sort of trying to get at. Did almost. I have been trying to catch this. I did nearly catch this. It just never came back for my entry on that. And that would have been some move. Um, yeah, I was going to say something else. I forgot what I was going to say now. I was going to say something. Don't know. Yeah, come. Is there any questions on that, guys? No.
No, not really, Lee. It's all standard stuff, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all. I mean, that's all ever is, mate. It's all the same stuff. It's just, I I know. Obviously, Lee's on and he's not normally. But for obviously the regulars, it's always the same stuff. It's just
Well, I
learning
just want
in
to
a.
work out if
Sorry.
I'd have got it or if I wouldn't have got it. That's what I'm trying to work out.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'd have got that as a POI, to be honest with you, but it does break the 15. I can see that.
yeah,
Did you
There's
post
a lot of
this?
imbalance below, isn't there? So we're going, look.
yeah, yeah. I mean that could be an option, mate. It's it could come lower and still take the high. Obviously, no one will ever know the actual if that's going to happen or not. But it is as a POI. I mean, that is not the easiest. Obviously, I didn't catch it, so I didn't
Have
think it
you
was.
posted this prior?
Uh, Possibly.
Because as in, I've literally got the exact same trade cell.
Yeah, I think I must have, mate. Yeah,
I never took it, obviously,
yeah,
because
it,
I wouldn't be moaning like I normally am.
yeah,
But everything's marked up. My entries marked up the same.
yeah.
Everything.
I think I did. I think it was a few weeks ago, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just I kind of didn't have loads marked up on it as well, so I wanted to add in liquidity myself because you know, obviously I'm trying to do it as I know it's a hindsight markup, but I also want it to be as authentic as if because obviously, I mean, this is why I was saying earlier about posting old markups because we can use hindsight markups. So that obviously this is played out and it played out a month or two ago, you know. But what we can sort of like take from old hindsight markups is go, right, why didn't I have this set up like this is a POI, you know? And then you can start to think, right, okay, I didn't spot the liquidity. Do you spend more time looking for liquidity then, or did you not have the structure marked up, or did you not have it marked up right? Because then you can go back and go, right, I need to fucking keep on top of me structure markups. Obviously, these zigzags, or whatever. You can use old markups. Now, obviously, I would have maybe caught this. I would have maybe posted this when on me weekly review. Now, I didn't have this, and just looking on the 2 hour, like like I say, I think it's a difficult. Nothing stands out on the 2 hour as such because obviously I've only just marked that trend line. I didn't have that trend line. I don't. I didn't have this trend line, but I think I maybe had the structure markup. I can't remember now. Possibly not because I haven't been keeping on top of my charts. If all that was gone, then this area doesn't stand out to me, and there's also a good chance that I would have set my POI to be even lower. It's hindsight why I've gone. It's up this high, and it's in because of the deep dive of. Now I'll drop on the 15 because I maybe because on the 2 it looks shit. 15. This candle here looks great. So that would say to me, I should probably check stuff on the 15 as well. Now, I often flick through on the 2 hour in case anything really stands out. So this is one that doesn't really mega stand out on the 2 hour. So I didn't catch this probably because I wasn't looking on the 15. So that's me telling myself probably have a quick flick through on the 15 and see if you can see out. Because that might be what stops you from catching a load of things. Now, obviously, we all sort of like open the charts and obviously the setups are the same. We're all looking for the same setups in reality because we're all obviously we've all got the same confirmations because you're all watching my lives. But how we when we open a chart and we've got nothing, like I don't really mark that much liquidity these days. George spends a lot of time marking liquidity, I believe. It looks like he does. So how we approach the same setups, we spend different time on different areas of what the 3 or 4 things we're looking for. Now, I would have just gone, that's a 15-minute high. There's something that's the high there. This high doesn't take it. So from what I would probably do myself in reality, if I was to report it, I'd have gone, there's something below this that's caused this high to be taken. I'd have marked a load of imbalances, and then I'd have just set a box, drawn a box. If I'd have spotted something like this, I'd have matched maybe from that low to this huge push up, obviously that we spoke about a minute ago. Um, and then once it hits it, you just wait for your favourite confirmations. Like, but what I was getting at is because we do approach it with a blank screen, because we do approach it and spend different time doing different kind of things, then you need to use these hindsight markups to go, why wouldn't I have spotted that or why didn't I? And then you can improve on that. So what obviously I would have learned from this is start spending a bit more time on the 15 minute, you know, because that would have been a beautiful setup. But I'm not too rich to take a 95R trade.
Things it's quite an easy setup as well because the imbalance is quite stand out.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
there's not really much else going on.
No. And the breaker structure's clean and easy as well.
Yeah.
It's visible on the 2 hour, you know,
Mm.
and from start to finish, like it's quite a long time. So like in reality, I should have caught this, you know. So from that point, it breaks the structure here, right? Even if you're allowed a few hours in time, don't come back for 80, nearly 90 days, you know. Now, obviously, we all have life and things going on and or whatever, but yeah, there's a reason why I missed it. There's a reason why we all missed it, and hindsight markups is how we sort of achieve. Like you might, someone else might have missed this by, say, a couple of hours or whatever. Obviously, I missed it by however long. Um, but using the hindsight and like I said, obviously, I was trying to find liquidity in this. That if there was a trend line in this, and say George had it, and he, he'd he'd have maybe caught it or whatever. But yeah, but the obviously just all I'm trying to say is using old markups to try and train your brain and improve yourself to know where you're not spending the right time or not looking for the right thing or like mine was a 15. If you'd have looked on the weekly, as obviously I've just drawn that other structure on it, you like if obviously if you'd have caught it, you can use the higher one as a. I don't really check the weekly, It was only because I've only been looking on Uh, Daily's more than good enough, obviously. If you had a caught it and you'd gone, oh, I'm just taking 30R, but then, like I say, because I don't spend enough time on the daily or the weekly, you could miss out on a lot of R because you're not looking at the daily time frame structure if it makes it there, obviously. So yeah, just using your time to backtest old things gives you these. Will just highlight these inefficiencies for yourself, I guess. So yeah, that's that basically. Um, so yeah, I kind of
There's a
like to.
there's a nice big imbalance just below at POI. I think that's I've got it marked on my chart actually, the structure I
Yeah,
just checked, but there's a nice imbalance below where it tagged at POI, so that would have kicked me
yeah,
out of
yeah.
that. On the 1 minute you can see it.
Just below it, be up below all this. Yeah,
Let me just see let me just on my chart moment, let me just flip back to yours. In the POI, yeah, wherever it tagged, it's down there somewhere. Where is it? It's about 4 o'clock on the 29th October.
yeah,
Yeah, that would put me off. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I understand that.
yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, I get that, mate. Yeah, it's yeah, I do. Yeah, I understand that. Well, again, I mean, I'm assuming it's filled this whatever this is in it. So yeah, that's what it's come for. I don't think it comes that deep. Um, yeah, I mean, George would be better for this because he'd probably say like this one takes a trend line or
Yeah,
something, whereas this one doesn't. That
yeah,
that
I got
that
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 marked.
doesn't even take this high.
Yeah, sure.
So you could argue it doesn't do anything. But I fully understand why you'd go, oh, I'd want it to come down here. Like if you was being super cautious, yes, I would say you're right. But like obviously we're looking at a 95R trade, so in reality you can take two or three stabs at this because
Yeah,
there's only going to be two or three imbalances in it that you're really keen on anyway. This one looks all right down here because I'm on the back on the 5 minute, but the if you use a Mac, I mean, you can use a different setup because this only just comes into this POI. This might come back. Let me just check the 4 hour again. So that's taken that high. We might actually get a decent pullback before it takes the overall high anyway. So obviously we've got this big 4 hour leg. We could well get a pullback. It could take all these areas out and come all the way back to obviously this point, this low here in reality, if it's going to stay bullish on the 4 hour. So we might well get a pullback and take this one out. And this is just ends up being a smaller trade before it takes the overall high if it does that. Um, Obviously we weigh up the risks of what we think. But yeah, if there's other setups where it pulls back deep into the POI, you'll be able to mark up the imbalances that you would think it's going to come for, and obviously on this occasion, whatever it's tapped into, I'm assuming it's filled this big huge push up there. You would maybe say, well, it's if there's three that you really like, if on the other self, if it's blasted through two and then filled one to the dot and then done a break in the direction that you want, because we don't get that many breaks of structure in reality from the kind of areas that we are looking for,
yeah, yeah.
So, you know, like taking two or three opportunities on this is probably worth it across the board, as long as they're all like obviously good setups with. Now, obviously, we don't know they're good until after they've played out, I guess. a losing trade doesn't mean it's a bad setup by a long way. But yeah, we're not often getting nice imbalance fills, changes of character from them imbalances. So, like I say, if there's three really good imbalances in here and it reacts from one of them, probably worth taking a little opportunity on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was that one. Um, is there any further questions on that, peoples?
Yeah, good for me.
No, all good, all good.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Lee.
No worries. Now, I did have a quick look on this when I turned my PC on earlier. Um, it wasn't last week because obviously last week was the uh all the individual parts of what we look for kind of thing. So I think it was the week before. Um, now I was saying that this was a possible break to the upside. Um, market's open. I thought there was like a smudge on me thing. Chart's open now, isn't it? Yeah, so I was saying obviously that there's possibly a buy obviously coming from in this zone. Now I'd said obviously last week, so obviously it was here. This low was in, and on the following Monday, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, it then took the high that I said this is at least the high I'd want it to take before considering a buy. But this obviously this week lows between the two imbalances that I was happy with. So obviously I said I suspected that it is going to come lower still, and it has. Again, just solely because I wasn't happy with where this was. So what I don't think I spoke about it, but there's a because we was anticipating it coming lower, where it kind of how high it came kind of didn't matter as such. Because obviously if we was anticipating it coming lower to feel more imbalance, then why would we take buys from that area kind of thing? Because I'll tell you, you was being a bit like wild at that point. So I must have marked this last on that live as well. I don't know why I didn't mark anything else, but what that tells me is obviously we've got a market gap here. So I think the sell option. So, but what I'm getting at is there's a possible sell option scenario from there. Lower time frame. I'll put it as 15, an orange box. Um, so anticipating it coming lower. Now, obviously what it's done, it's filled this market open gap. So market open gap is seen as imbalance as far as that's the best I can describe it. And what it's obviously done is it's this you could say this caused this trend line to be taken. We're expecting a new low because obviously this hadn't done what I'd have wanted it to do. And then, I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same setup. I don't know if I'd have caught it. I literally opened the chart, opened my computer, opened it, turned it on, and I was, as it was loading up, like obviously if this was the chart that opened. So because we was anticipating a possible it coming lower, we have had a break of structure since. So lower, obviously, this is the low that puts in the overall high into the point of interest. So I'm not going to look for entries again anyway. You boys can do this on your own, but it's looking like that's possibly an entry. If that's your low, obviously it comes back afterwards. If that's not the entry that you'd have picked, obviously it's come a touch higher over here, and that's possibly the entry that we should have been looking for. Tell you what, I'll delete that. We'll go look at low time frame. Look at the imbalances. So Not there. So there was a sell opportunity. No, I didn't take it. No. So huge imbalance. So base point is that one. Maybe this here. Not as big, but you know, maybe this here as well. Just marking these roughly at the minute. Something like that. So then jump on at 5 and maybe just discontinue a couple of others. Still huge push. Still a nice enough push. Nice-ish. Not great. This one turned a bit naff, I think. So I'll turn that blue. And then I'll do that one there. Now, obviously, George would be picking liquidity at this point. Don't wait for me. I'm not using it. But chances are one of these would be my entry. um, just two down. 2 orange lines, that's why I'm confused. Let's delete that all. No, not. Submit below. Yeah, sorry. I was confused because obviously as I was just looking down, I see because there's an extra green line, it was confusing me. Um,
I decided that I got this marked. I decided that was no POI because that's hang on, now you're looking at a different part.
yeah.
The POI was spread out.
That was it.
The 27th of February,
Oh,
left end of the POI is spread
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Oh,
So that's why I ignored this setup.
yeah. So yeah, it's no, it's market. It's on the Friday, isn't it?
No, my POI is higher. Okay, I've got the previous POI to that then.
Right, yeah. All I was basically the POI is based on there's a market gap here. Obviously I spoke about saying that I wasn't happy with what it done here. This without a obviously it gives a breaker structure to the upside up here, but this one here there's a imbalance obviously that I've got marked that made me think it would have come lower. Should I have been watching it any further? Obviously I didn't. So but yeah, so it's basically filled this market gap, done a break to the downside because I was expecting it to come lower, which is why I didn't take the buy. Yeah. Um.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if this POI was at the market open, but to the right hand side of this gap, then yeah, it would have been a no go. I wouldn't have even entertained it if you like. But obviously, there's trend line liquidity as well. So if we was to fill this blank in ourselves, it would be a valid POI anyway, because we would just go. That would be kind of what the infill candle would look like, kind of thing. Yeah, and this is if you was to extend that. Yeah, you would argue that this takes it still. So like I say, it would be a valid POI anyway. Um, but yeah, obviously once we come back to Um, the entry sort of side of it. Obviously, one of these would be an entry zone. You'd have to weed out what you'd be happy with yourself. Um, didn't actually pick one which I preferred the best, so I kind of like this one the best. I think maybe this one fills that imbalance. I'd be torn between these middle three, I think, anyway. D- I feel like this middle one's probably the better option, maybe. Now, I'd normally say go higher or lower, but what you tend to find is there's often something really obvious, and then there's usually like a sneaky bit of imbalance above it that would often just take you out and then go. So, which might be this as well. Come to think about it. Obviously, there's a bit of imbalance just up here as well. But yeah, I'd be torn between them three, I think. Um, we'll have a look and see what actually happens. It tags any. Again, it's probably worth a couple of touches. Yeah, that high one. Just shy of that high one, seems. But it's moved since, so so just shy of this entry zone here. Look at the five, see if it's marked up wrong. Obviously, I think I only marked it on the five, did I? Yeah, see, there you go. Good example of lower time frame. So 10 and the 5, I think, that looks like it's marked about right. Yeah, 10 looks like it's marked right. Five's same. 1 second. Now, obviously, we can see that the imbalance hits here a bit lower. Now, I don't always check the one, so still just shy anyway. Now that just indicates that the that imbalance, that candle might have done all that moving in like the second half of that second or whatever. We're talking micro differences here, but should it have tapped and you would have had it on. You could have done another pipette more, 4.5 pips, whatever. The setup was valid, just the entry would have been slightly off. 37 with a decent bit of spread on. Yeah, pipper spread on GU's excessive, maybe you'd say. Obviously, there's next to no actual spreads on it, so. But the setup's valid. Obviously, we looked at reasons for one of the entries in that as well. Um, just the same as all the other stuff, That first one, that lowest one that I marked. If you'd have got there early enough, would have give a decent sell as well to the new low. So that one there, like someone might have had it. It would have been a great sell, to be fair. Huge sell. 64. Yeah, 64 there. But yeah, I mean, that just shows that imbalance is it's the thing we're looking for in it. So obviously, if it hits that one about perfect. I don't even know if that's a pipette short on that one. This is why I often say that. That's why I say imbalance is the closest indication to perfection that we can sort of find when it comes to entries. It's going to be a pipette, but yeah, pipette short of the other zone we marked. Once we remarked it, so yeah. Is there any questions on that, guys? Because otherwise, I will call it there.
I'm all right. Thank you, Lee.
I'm good, Lee.
Cheers, guys. I will call it then, and I will speak to you all in the week, no doubt.
Aye.
Take it
Have
easy,
a good one,
guys.
lads.
Thank you very much, guys.